I'm Rosalind Carita, and this is History and Heritage. And today I'm in downtown Clarksville, standing at Public Square, and behind me is the Poston Building. Today we're going to learn about ghost signs. Stay with us. The Poston Building has a wonderful ghost sign.
Hi, this is the Restore. My name is Catherine Norbeck Daly, and I'm the manager here at the Habitat for Humanity Restore. Everything we sell in here is donated. All of the proceeds go to benefit the Habitat for Humanity homes. We take windows, doors, building supplies, cabinets, household goods, and we will pick up. The Restore is located in downtown Clarksville at 408 Madison Street, across from Madison Street United Methodist Church. The phone number is 645-4242. Call us to schedule your next donation pickup.
Hello, my name is Kenny York and I'm with Manna Cafe Ministries. Our goal is to feed as many people as much as we can. You can help us with that by just going to our website and clicking on Donate Now and become a friend of Manna and see what that's all about. Our phone number is 931-933-0970, and I'll appreciate your help. Thank you so much.
We're back with Carolyn Farrell. Carolyn knows so much Clarksville history, and today she's going to teach us about ghost signs. And when she first told me that, I didn't really know what a ghost sign was. I thought this was going to be like a ghost story or something. But ghost signs are, well, tell us, how would you describe a ghost sign?
A ghost sign is an advertisement for a business that no longer exists, and Clarksville has many ghost signs. Of course, we also have some signs that are residual from earlier days, or days when I remember, but this one is the best one in Clarksville.
Okay, so a ghost sign, the criteria then, the business has to be gone.
Right.
Okay, and the one that we're going to talk about today is on the Poston Building.
Right.
But before we look at the actual sign, I think that the history, and you told me a little bit about the Poston Building, the history of this building is unique. You said it was the oldest
Building used for business in Clarksville.
Okay, oldest building used for business.
Right.
And it was built when?
In 1843 by John Hamill Poston. You've got to envision the city square as it was back then. This man, Mr. Poston, came to Clarksville. He was born in Maryland but raised in Virginia. He came to Clarksville when he was about 19 years old, very, very industrious, with a plan. And he built this building in 1843 with the idea of it being a mercantile store.
Okay, when you say mercantile, that means they, like a dry goods store, they sold bread and coffee and those kind
Clothing,
of things?
or clothing in the sense of material, because pre-made clothes were not being done then. But he actually gave the building over to his daughter at the time of her marriage to John Franklin Counts. And John Counts was from Robertson County, and he took over the mercantile store, which was at the end of the building behind us, what we would say was the south end. And he was in that business for about 2 years before he decided he wanted to do something different.
Okay, and so this building behind us, the Poston Building, really was designed to be 3 separate businesses.
Right.
And the person who built it then, I thought it was interesting. You told me that he had many, many children, but he didn't leave it to any of his children. He left it to his son-in-law, who he thought would really get out there. And
He had 13 children, but he gave the business over to John Counts because he saw a lot of promise in John Counts. John Counts was the nephew of Cape Johnson.
You know, we always seem to come back to Cape Johnson. He gets in every story we do. That is
right.
Funny. And there still are a lot of descendants from Mr. Couth in Robertson County.
Well, from the Counts family, not Mr. Counts that lived here.
Okay.
They moved elsewhere.
Okay, so then we have the one building with three separate stores. And so how did we get to the ghost sign being put on the end of this building?
Okay, when he decided he didn't want to stay in the mercantile business, he sold the business to Beaumont Payne and Company, which continued the grocery store. The middle section became a clothing store, and at the far end, Mr. Couts had a furniture and undertaking business, because when you were the furniture builder, you also made coffins.
Okay, and I thought that was interesting because when we talked about this, you said that he sold furniture, but back in the day you didn't just sell furniture. You didn't get it from North Carolina and sell it. You made furniture.
Right.
And so if you were the maker, the hammer and nailer of the furniture, you made the coffins.
Right.
You know, that is amazing.
The furniture business was in the upper floors, and the undertaking was in the basement, because you wanted to sort of separate that. But if somebody died in Clarksville, you would either send somebody over to get a child-size coffin, a youth-size, or an adult-size.
And that's a sad comment on the public health of the day.
Right.
Because, you know, we know that the death of a child was not an uncommon occurrence, and that's interesting that they could actually order a child-sized coffin. That's very sad.
Right.
Oh. So we had furniture and undertaker, and then tell me about the biscuits.
Okay. Do we want to go around to the other side and look at the signs? Because there's two separate ghost signs on this building.
Let's do. We're going to go around to the side of the building, and Carolyn is going to explain what we're looking at.
Have you ever been hungry, worried about where you're going to get your next meal? Loaves and Fishes is an organization feeding the hungry. Primarily through volunteer efforts and donations, we are able to accomplish this mission. Loaves and Fishes provides a midday meal Monday through Saturday year-round. We provide food to agencies helping the needy through our distribution program. If you would like to donate, get involved, or for more information, you can find us on the web at www.loavesandfishestn.org. Please help us with our mission of feeding the hungry.
We are now standing so that you can see the ghost sign that's on the post in the building. And if you look, you can see right at the top it has 1845. Carolyn, start there and tell us what all we're looking at. What do we see?
Right. Remember I said that the building was built in 1843. Okay, he was in the mercantile business for about 2 years and decided to open his undertaking business. So he wanted a sign to advertise, but he was very smart that he relocated at this end, because he could put a sign that would face the river. When the river traffic came down, they would see his advertisement and know where to come for furniture.
Right.
So in 1845, he began his business, and as you can see, John Franklin Couts Furniture and Undertaking up there at the very, very top. Now that's a separate sign than the one below. The one below has a history to itself. In 1898, the National Biscuit Company was formed in Chicago, and they made prepackaged biscuits.
And you know, just to kind of interject, we think of, when you say the word biscuit, as Americans and particularly as Southerners, well, when you think of a biscuit, you think of making dough and a biscuit.
Mm-hmm.
And then the English, say biscuit, but they really mean cookie.
Right.
In
or
our book.
cracker, yes.
Right. So when we say biscuits in this connotation, that was sort of a pivotal business.
Very big. A big thing happened here. With this company, they started the first prepackaged food. Americans, we were used to either making our own food or buying it from somebody that had made it and given it to us, or we had, had bought it. But this was prepackaged. This was a big thing happening in Chicago.
And what year was this again?
This was 1898.
Okay. So Civil War is long gone.
Right.
Okay, so 1898. Okay.
And so in 1909, the National Biscuit Company merged with the American Biscuit Company and the New York Biscuit Company to form National Biscuit Company Nabisco.
I love that. So Nabisco. Who knew there was a history there?
There it is. And it says on the sign, the National Biscuit Company.
Okay.
So it's there. Now, everybody wants to know Who painted the sign? Well, we don't know who actually painted the sign, but we know who's responsible for the sign. In 1909, the National Biscuit Company wanted to put forth a $1 million campaign across the country.
So this is their PR. It would be analogous to a Super Bowl spot.
Right. Without TV and so forth, this is how they were going to advertise across the nation. And so they had their sales representatives go out to different cities and have these signs painted for their business. And so in 1909, John Smithwick, who was the sales rep from the National Biscuit Company, came to Clarksville, stayed at the Franklin House, and he loved going to the Franklin House. He would make a trip here at least once a year, and he would come to the door and announce, "Johnny's here, who's got a hug for Johnny?" And all the Bringhurst children, all 10 of them, would come rushing down to the lobby and hang off of his arms, his legs, his neck, just loved Johnny Smithwick. So Johnny Smithwick came to Clarksville and had this sign painted on the building. Now, why has it lasted over 175 years for the top sign and so forth? It's because of what they painted with. The paint they used back then would be considered very toxic today. They used black powder, they used mineral spirits, and they put Japan dryer in, which would help to seal and dry the varnish quickly, because this is an outdoor sign, if it rained or whatever. So they made this concoction, and as you can tell, the paint has lasted all these years without being repainted.
Now that's very interesting, because when we see these ghost signs, you know, we do say, how did that last so long?
Exactly.
So it was because of the paint.
Right.
It wasn't that it was redone.
No, it's not been touched.
Now, okay, and so ghost sign, meaning you might not be able to relate it to anything because, as you said, the business is long gone.
Right.
But the sign is there.
Right.
And some are more readable than others. And you said this was the best one in Clarksville.
This is the most noted, most painted, most photographed. Everybody loves this building, and hopefully we can keep this building for a long, long time. But the paints, again, that were used on it are now considered toxic.
Right.
There are buildings in different places, larger cities, that are redoing their ghost signs because they understand the importance of them.
The history of it.
And there is actually a methodology to doing it. Whether somebody will undertake it and save it, I don't know, but it would be wonderful if ever we needed to redo it.
Right. And just so folks know, you know, with this show, we say a lot of times, I know you've seen this, you've driven by it 1,000 times, but now you know about it. And so you know exactly where we are. We are right here at Public Square on Main Street. And this is the corner right here. I know you know where we are. So next time you drive by, now you know the history of a ghost sign.
Ghost sign. Actually, 2 of them.
Right together.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the "you need a biscuit."
Right, you need a biscuit, and 5 cents for the whole pack.
Right. Much like Rock City, the same kind of concept. They used what they had. So now you're going to show us another couple of places that have ghost signs.
Right.
So stay with us. We're going to take you to a new location and show you a couple more ghost signs.
Will you become a guardian angel? The Humane Society has been saving lives and helping families since 1968. We are an independently operated nonprofit organization, and the strength of our programs relies solely on donations and grants. Your donation will allow us to save animals from the local county shelter, as well as provide low-cost spay-neuter vouchers and more. All of our programs are geared toward providing families with options that prevent them from surrendering personal or found pets, which might otherwise be euthanized at a shelter. Please be a guardian angel today.
Manna Cafe was founded because one man felt called by God to feed the poor.
Hello, my name is Kenny York. I'm founder and director of Manna Cafe Ministries. Hunger is a reality here in Montgomery County. Numbers say that 1 in 6 adults suffer from food instability. That means they don't know where the next meal is coming from, or they may go to bed hungry. And 1 in 4 children, that means children in our own backyards are going to bed hungry. Those numbers aren't going away. In fact, they continue to get worse and worse.
One of the ways Manna Cafe combats these issues is through a food pantry, where food boxes containing 30 to 50 pounds of food are distributed to single moms, seniors, military and other families, and anyone else in need. With a team of dedicated volunteers, Manna Cafe has provided food to thousands of people in the Clarksville-Montgomery County area. Because Manna Cafe is also committed to going where the need exists, the mobile cafe program consists of taking hot, appetizing meals to various outdoor locations throughout the community multiple times per week. Guests receive not only a meal, but also a sense of community and Christian fellowship. Through the mobile pantry program, Manna Cafe periodically distributes thousands of pounds of groceries at various locations throughout the city. Every day, Manna Cafe sends out trucks to pick up food donated by local businesses in food drives and through partnerships with national organizations such as Second Harvest Food Bank, Feed the Children, and Feeding America First. Manna Cafe also offers services to Clarksville families such as a free medical clinic and counseling with an on-site chaplain.
Here at Manna, it's not just about the food. It's about restoring dignity. It's about loving on folks. It's about telling them that they matter while we're trying to minister to their basic needs, which is hunger.
This sign is not only a ghost sign, but it's a mystery sign.
It is.
And if any of you who watch this show can identify this sign, we would love to hear from you. And we'll run it across the screen, how to get in touch with us. But this is a real mystery / ghost sign. And so tell us, why is this one in such bad shape and the other one, we can really read it?
I think it's the realization of what was toxic. And of course, that over there has lasted over 100 years. Over here, they're using a different kind of paint, and it hasn't lasted.
Didn't last, right.
It hasn't lasted.
We're at the corner of Strawberry Alley and First Street. So if you wanted to see if you could figure out what this ghost sign says, that would be a real win. I mean, we could really add to the history and heritage of Clarksville if we could find this out. It's been here a long time.
It has been.
And now you have one other one, though, that is really, or at least a couple more, that that really qualifies ghost signs because we know what they are and the business is gone. So where are you going to take us next?
We're going right up the street to the Elder Conroy building.
Elder Conroy. All right, let's take a look at it. We're at the corner of Franklin and First, and there's a lot of traffic, so bear with us. But if you look up here, you will see the Elder Conroy Hardware Company. So how old is it?
It's 115 years old.
And so that sign, and that's different because it doesn't have any color, it's all white.
Right. But it is. It was a business that's been a long time. Elder is a name of first settlers coming into Clarksville. The elder that had this business was the brother to the mayor, James Elder, the first mayor of Clarksville.
So that is old. Now, so that it really does qualify as a ghost sign, and in some ways, I think that this really feels like a ghost sign. Maybe it's because it's white. I don't know.
Right.
It just looks ghostly, like it's disappearing like a ghost. So this is a busy corner. We're going to go on to the next place that might be a little quieter. We are standing on Franklin Street. So again, there's a lot of traffic, so bear with us. But behind us, there is a sign that is just really hard to see. And in fact, Carolyn said she was embarrassed how many years it took before she actually spotted it.
I grew up here and walked by this all my life and never saw it until about 6 months ago. And when I saw it, I just about came unhinged because it was so wonderful.
So tell us, what do we have?
If you're looking at the building behind us, it has a white pediment and a circle, the medallion up there. Right below it, if you look really hard, you'll see Thomas Rohner, spelled R-O-H-N-E-R. We're talking an old business here. when Thomas Roner was born in Switzerland in 1836, and he came to Clarksville in 1874, married a lady here, had his family here, and opened originally his jewelry and clockmaking shop on the square in the Elder building, not the building we just saw, but the one across the street, Elder's Opera House you've heard about.
I have heard about that.
So it was not just an opera house. They had other businesses that were in that actual building, and so he had one of them. And the hotels in Clarksville were centered around the public square, and his clock shop being on time, when the clocks chimed simultaneously, it woke up everybody in the hotels on the hour, every hour during the night, and so they complained about it.
So he moved.
He moved. He came down here after the fire of 1878 when all this was being built, and he had his shop put in this area. But he was a wonderful man. They said he was very robust and industrious, had 4 or 5 children. When he passed away in 1898, his son took over the business. So again, we're talking about 1800s here for this building. And it's so exciting. It was like a treasure that I had discovered because, like I said, I'd walked by it so many times.
And again, this is a real ghost sign.
Yes.
And I'm sure, just sort of on the side, that they were glad to see him relocate and not have all his
absolutely.
clocks going off around the hotel.
Right.
Oh.
But even when he moved here, businesses, when you owned a business downtown, you were very likely to live above.
Right.
So he didn't get exactly away from annoying everybody, but they forgave him for that. But if you wanted to buy jewelry at that time, you'd come to Thomas because he was known as a very honest man.
Oh. Well, let's take a look. I think we have 1 or 2 more ghost signs, so stay with us.
From exploring your local community to finding new adventures in the outdoors and discovering the world, Girl Scouts opens doors to new and exciting experiences for girls. Girl Scouts builds girls of courage, confidence, and character who make the world a better place. Through Girl Scouts, girls and adult volunteers discover the fun, friendship, and power of girls together. Interested in joining? Girls and adult volunteers are welcome in Girl Scouts. Please contact me, Bethany Kelly, at your local Girl Scout office by calling 931-648-1060 or visit us on our website at www.gsmidtn.org. Again, interested? Call 931-648-1060.
Now, we have moved around a lot in this show, and we are dead downtown Clarksville. But Carolyn said that this sign, there were a lot of folks that would know and really be familiar with this. So tell us what we have.
If you're 50 years or older, you would know this store because this is where you came in Clarksville. If you were young or young at heart. This was Newt's Record Shop, and it was located right here.
And where are we when we say right here?
We are on 1st Street and actually we're on 3rd Street. Excuse me, we're on 3rd Street. So
okay.
We're on 3rd Street across from what used to be the Bank of America building.
Right, and I can see First Presbyterian from here.
Right. But this store sold the old vinyl records, the
45s?
45s, and you would come in and the place was just packed with records, and the owner, I can't remember his name, would help you. There was a turntable there. You could play your record before you bought it. They had the list from the radio stations on the top 10 songs of the day and so forth, and you could pick that up. And it was just a wonderful gathering place. You would come downtown, eat at Good Wilson Drugs, or you would go to Dixon Sadler or Woolworth, and you'd always make a trip down the Newt's Record Shop because this was the place to go to.
So it's a ghost sign. It's not real old.
No, it's not.
But it's a ghost sign because the business is no longer in existence.
Right.
And this sign won't last nearly as long as the one at the Poston House.
No.
Because of the difference in the paint.
Right.
So this is a ghost sign that may really disappear and not be in our history and heritage.
Right, we're losing ghost signs due to redevelopment. We're using, to the elements. We're losing them because of course, the paint wearing out and so forth.
Right.
But you can sort of date this because it does have 8-track tapes up there, so it tells you
we know that
we're
right.
not, we're talking prehistoric here. But it was a wonderful place to gather and so forth.
Right. Well, and we had kind of talked a little bit about the Poston House and the great history, and you were going to really tell us a little bit more about the Poston House.
Right, I'd love to.
Okay, so tell us a little history.
Okay, when he built the building, he had a very ingenious, I guess, point made to the building. You remember, he came from Maryland. He lived in Virginia. So when he came here, he already knew about what were called fire joists. And fire joists were the joists where they came into the brick to anchor the floor were cut away in sort of a triangle. And so it was built that if the place ever caught on fire, which was so likely to happen.
Right, very frequent because there was no electricity then and everybody used
fireplaces, and they were using coal at the time, that the floor would, if it caught on fire, the floor would collapse, the roof could collapse, but the inner and outer walls would not. And so all you had to do was rebuild the inside.
And you said that that was the floor joists, but you also told me about the parapets on the roof, and I kind of had heard that word before, but I don't think I ever really got it.
Right.
And so when we look at the Poston House and we look at the roof, on the left side they're gone.
Right.
But on the right side we can actually still see those.
Right. On the left-hand side, through time, they have collapsed and they've just not been rebuilt. The other side you can see, and they were built as a fire prevention measure, so that if that caught on fire, the flames would not spread to buildings adjacent to it.
So on the sides of it.
Right.
But just the location of that, I mean, we know there were other buildings to the sides of it, but there have been many fires in Clarksville.
Right.
And you told me something that I thought was very interesting about the way that the natural wind current is here, that really those parapets weren't that helpful.
They weren't, but he built the building as a Philadelphia style building, and they would have had the parapets if just for decorations and not for utilitarian purpose. But the way that the Poston building sits on the square, the breeze in Clarksville, the wind comes from west, across the river, east. And so the parapets really wouldn't have helped if there had been a fire to save buildings on either side.
Right. And you mentioned that, we know that there was a really big fire, 1878. Okay.
April.
And that was the big fire
that
took out
15 acres of downtown.
Wow.
And of course, the fire started behind us over on Franklin Street, and with the wind blowing west to east, the public square was saved. It wasn't in danger. So, unless the wind had changed, which it didn't.
And when we were standing on Public Square, I think everybody's very familiar with the fountain. And I didn't realize how old that fountain was. I just assumed it was something fairly new, but it isn't. You said that fountain was very old.
It's been in Clarksville for a long time. The marble fountain we're talking about, not the white one that has the water spraying, but it was built at the level to where horses and mules who brought the tobacco in or whatever goods farmers brought in could drink from the fountain. It was high enough for that. So it has the line head spouts with water coming out, and also at the base we have a bowl on each side of the 4 sides of the fountain for the dogs, because farmers always brought their dogs to town with them, because while they were off leaving some of their items on the wagon, they needed a guard dog to alert them that somebody was trying to take something off the wagon. So they always brought their dogs along for companionship and also to guard their wagons. So the fountain has that for the dogs.
So we have lots of history. We also have lots of cars going by, as you can hear.
Yes, we do.
But I think that those are the main ghost signs in Clarksville, and I think the Poston House has a unique history in its own. And it's a shame that, we're kind of worried. We want to make sure that that is kept renovated, or hopefully in the future.
Right, I want my grandchildren to be able to see it.
Yeah. That's why we call this show History and Heritage. So thank you for joining us for the Ghost Signs. This is your history and your heritage.
Change how children in your community grow. Our children need us more than ever. Donate or volunteer. BigBrothersBigSisters.org.